On the news tonight, federal government releases details of derivation refund, says Akwa Ibom Delta gets largest share. Exposed governors stealing local government funds, Wike autumn challenge Buhari. And gunmen invade palace, abduct traditional ruler in Ondo State. Well, many thanks for joining us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogorinde. Amidst growing discontent in the Niger Delta state that some government officials had misused the oil derivation refunds in the region, the presidency has released more details of oil derivation refunds made to the states on Friday. The presidency says 9 oil-producing states received a total of 625.43 billion naira as 13% oil derivation subsidy and Sure P refunds from the Federation account between 2021 and 2022. The details show that Akwa Ibom and Delta State received the largest refunds from the federal government. According to the presidential spokesperson, Garba Shehu, in a statement issued on Friday, other states include Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, as well as Delta, Edo, Imo, Ondo, and River State. The presidential spokesperson said 1.1 trillion naira was yet to be repaid to the states. Our President Muhammadu Buhari has slammed state governors over what he described as an unfair treatment of government at the grassroots level. The president, who spoke at a party organized for the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Abuja, said the governors steal from local government council federal allocations. The president underscored that personal integrity is fundamental in the operations of government. Our correspondent Simis Ladigun tells us more in this report.
In recent times, the federal government has criticized state governors for shortchanging and mismanaging funds allocated to local governments. This time, President Muhammadu Buhari took his grievances a little further at the Presidential Palace for members of the Senior Executive Course 44 2022 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies at the State House, where he cited a personal experience portraying the sort of corrupt practices perpetrated by state governors in dispensing resources meant for local government councils.
If the monies from the federal government to state government, say it's 100 million, let's put it 100 million. 50 million will be sent to the chairman with a letter that he will sign that he received 100 million. The governor will pocket the balance and share it with whoever he wanted. And then the chairman of the local government will see how much he must pay in salaries to help goes to development. Money for the salaries will be given and the balance will put in his pocket. This was happening.
President Buhari, who described these actions as despicable, says it spoke of the height of corruption in the country. He urged leaders to uphold integrity in dispensing their duties.
It's a matter of conscience, whichever level we find ourselves, that you need us to sit here with all the sacrifices the country is making by putting you through institutions and getting you ready to lead. The fundamental thing is personal integrity.
While commending the efforts of the Institute to deliver on issues of national importance, Buhari also congratulated participants of the Senior Executive Course 44 on the successful completion of their course. He challenged them to quality leadership at their various platforms.
I challenge you to go back to our various establishments, units, posts, beats, departments, directorates, ministries, parastatals, commissions, commands, agencies, to revitalize, reinvigorate reform and rejig your various platforms and spheres of influence, responsibility, and leadership.
Giving his remarks, the Director General of NIPSS, Ayo Omotayo, explained that the course exposed participants to perspectives on local governance and how to tackle its challenges.
We visited 6 African countries and 6 countries outside Africa. And of course, this enabled us to have both local and international perspectives on matters concerning local governance, how to overcome challenges in achieving it, identify the available opportunities to strengthen it, and develop workable options to be considered by government in strengthening local governance in Nigeria.
Reacting to the promise of the President to respond to the demand by the Institute, the DG expressed optimism that the recommendations made in its report will be implemented. Simisola Adigun, TV360, Abuja.
And in response to these allegations, Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State has challenged President Muhammadu Buhari to name governors responsible for stealing local government funds. Speaking on Friday during the inauguration of the Ngbo-Shimini internal roads in Rivers State, Governor Wike denied ever taking funds meant for the local government since assuming office as governor in 2015. Wike also challenged the president to name governors that are doing that, as his statement could be termed class defamation. President Buhari, in a speech at the Presidential Parley for members of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies at the State House, said that state governors steal allocations meant for local governments.
I want to challenge Mr. President, you're a leader. And we believe as leaders, you must come out and tell Nigerians who are those committing this offense. You said the governors are taking local government funds. I want to say, in the name of Almighty God, I've never touched local government fund one day. I have never, and I have no reason to do that. So, Mr. President, tell us who are those people. You know them, tell us. It is not good to say what we call class defamation. You say governors. Please, I'm not one of those governors. I'm not. So, Mr. President, please spare me. Tell Nigerians that the integrity governors are not part of them. We have integrity. We are not part of them. And do us a favor to announce all those states that are taking local government money. I have never, since 2015 till now, and I have no reason, and I will not have any reason to do it. Because when I was chairman of local government under Dr. Peter Odili, he never touched 1 naira of local government fund. And I see no reason. When I was chairman, nobody touched my fund. Why will I now begin to touch other people's fund? So, Mr. President, I beg you, in the name of God, help us, remove us, the integrity governors. We are men of honor, we will not touch, but announce those who are touching because you have the record.
Well, for more insight into this development, Evan Tufeli, legal expert, joins me now. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, we've seen the details released by the presidency on oil derivation refunds paid to oil-producing states. But how significant are these payments amid growing controversy that the funds had been misused by some governments in the region?
Yes, it is clear that most governors in this region have not utilized these funds well, and that is why the president is making it known to the public. And this information is very fundamental. I mean, the president is doing a good job by exposing these governors. Take Delta State, for example. Delta State and Akwa Ibom State that got the huge chunk of the said funds. If you go to the local government areas and go to the states and look at the states in general, you ask yourself, whether this amount of money really passed through the governors of these states. I mean, for the Niger Delta State, was 600 billion plus. Okay, and you see the level of poverty in this state, the level of degradation, hunger, and insecurity in these areas. It's mind-boggling. It tells you that our governors, our politicians, have no conscience whatsoever. Because take my area, for example, in Ndokwa area, there is no development whatsoever there in Delta State. Three higher institutions were converted to university. None was in Ndokwa area, and even those that were converted are not properly funded. The roads are not well constructed, and in some places there are no roads at all. In the hinterlands, we have a lot of issues. There are no lights, no public health care facility. All the public health care facilities are under lock and key in Ndokwa land and in most areas of Delta State. So now, where did this money go to? And at the tail end of this administration, the Delta State Governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, is busy borrowing money. He's still borrowing money. I mean, all that. We don't know where these funds are being taken to. We don't know which part of the state is being developed. Because Delta State, apart from maybe his first tenure, where he managed to tire some and reconstructed some roads, his second tenure, he has not done much at all. And the funds that he has received in his second tenure far much outweigh what he got in the first tenure. And the federal government is saying this clearly. They have
now, sorry to interrupt you there. If these allegations are true, how then, what mechanism do you think must be put in place to make sure that these governors are actually held accountable? But I'm not talking about EFCC, who comes in, you know, when the governor must have left office. While the governor is in office, what mechanism is in place to ensure that these governors are held accountable and these funds are used for what it's given?
The mechanism that is supposed to be in place to check is the State House of Assembly. But the State House of Assembly we have today, they don't do their jobs. They are just an appendage of the governor. You see, the current speaker, is he not the one that the governor is anointing now to take over from him? Okay, so the State House of Assembly is subservient to the president, to the governor, the executive, and that is where the problem is. Ordinarily, it is the State House of Assembly that is supposed to oversight these funds as they are transmitted from the federal government to the state government. That's the unit. Now, that State House of Assembly that's supposed to do the job have been compromised a long time ago. They work in cahoots with the governor to deprive the good people of Delta State the resources that belongs to them. And at the end of the day, what you have is complete mess up of what governance should be. Everything is run down, and the people are the ones suffering this. We have checks, but these checks have been eroded by the executive. So what you now have is just a situation where they just gang up, collect the funds, mismanage the funds, and leave the people in utter distress. And enough is enough of this, because, I mean, the president is saying this now so that we can hold them to account. I mean, the EFCC you mentioned can only start their operation after the tenure of the governors and the members of the State House of Assembly, because they too are in cahoots with the executive. And this is a criminal conspiracy to keep the people down and dejected while their resources is mismanaged and diverted, and there is nothing to write them about and no account whatsoever. And most times they get away with it. So this is the problem that we have, especially in Delta State, where you don't have any level of development. And you see, the issue is that the people at some point will have to come out and say enough is enough. Because, I mean, since the people that they voted in power to represent them, that is the State House of Assembly members, who are a conglomeration of people from different constituency and local government that represent the entire state, since they are unable to do the job, it is high time the people will step forth. The people will step forth into the arena of conflict and make a demand from the governor and the State House of Assembly and all leaders and all commissioners of that state to give account of their stewardship what they have done so far with over 600 and something billion.
Well, definitely,
that
Evans. The question of
Niger
accountability
Delta.
from government keeps coming up over and over again. But Evans Sefeli, legal experts, thank you very much for your time and your contribution on News Now. Moving on, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development, Sadiya Farouk, has dismissed a media report alleging the padding over ministry's budget with the insertion of 206 billion naira into the 2023 appropriation bill. Farouk denied the allegations when she appeared before the Senate Committee on Special Duties on Thursday at the National Assembly. Farouk further clarified that the 206 billion naira inserted into the ministry's 2023 budget proposal is for the purchase of military equipment, adding that she did not accuse the Finance Ministry of budget padding, but instead sought clarification. There were reports alleging that the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development inserted a total of 206 billion naira into the proposed 2023 budget for projects which was already being funded by the World Bank.
We're not talking about 1 naira or 2 naira. We're talking about huge amount of money being domiciled in your agency. From the explanation from the Permanent Secretary, he said that this money has not been released. The 30 billion, nothing has been released to your ministry. At the same time, the chairman asked, is there another agency that is benefiting from this funding? And he said 2 agencies, the Northeast Development Commission and one other agency that he mentioned. So if those agencies are benefiting from this money, at the same time you said the money has not been released, how do we reconcile the 2 statements? 2, is it possible for a certain amount of money to be domiciled in a ministry and the minister of that same ministry is not aware about the expenditure of the same money?
Coming to the question on how comes the 2 agencies are benefiting and then no amount, we said yes, they are supposed to benefit from it because there are projects under them. But the money was not released. It happens. Even if they are supposed to implement the project, but the money was not released for some reason, it means they've not had the money to implement the project. This is what we mean. I was asked if any of the agencies is supposed to benefit from it. Yes, we mentioned NEDC and the NCTO. Is it NCTO? NASCO. NASP, but the money was not released for that.
And now to security matters. A traditional ruler of Osho, Ajowa Akoko, in Akoko Northwest LG of Ondo State, Clement Olukotun, has been abducted by gunmen. The monarch was reportedly abducted on Thursday night. The armed men were said to have invaded the residence and shot sporadically to frighten locals before whisking the monarch away. Fumilaya Odulami, police public relations officer in Ondo, confirmed the development on Friday. The development comes days after gunmen killed 2 security guards in separate attacks in Ikare Akoko Northeast LGA of Ondo State. The People's Democratic Party has decried the alleged clampdown of PDP leaders in Zamfara State, saying that it is a threat to democracy and the upcoming elections. Addressing journalists at the party's secretariat on Friday, the National Publicity Secretary, PDP, Debo Ologunagba, said the PDP senatorial candidate and Director General of the PDP Governorship Campaign Council in Zamfara State were arrested and illegally held in detention facilities by the police, reportedly on orders of Governor Matawale. Speaking further, Ologunagba demanded for the immediate release of members of the party.
Our party has also been made aware of plots by Governor Matawale-led APC to arrest and detain the PDP governorship candidate in Zamfara State, Dr. Dauda Lawal. We alert Nigerians and the entire world that the security operatives attached to Dr. Lawal have been withdrawn, reportedly on the orders of Governor Matawale.
The PDP therefore demands for the immediate and unconditional release of Ikra Aliyu Bilbis, Kamte Balab, Meriga, and other members of the PDP who were illegally arrested and detained reportedly on the orders of Governor Matawale. The PDP also charges the Inspector General of Police to immediately restore the withdrawn security details attached to the PDP governorship candidate in Zamfara State and take urgent steps to ensure the provision of adequate security for PDP members in the state in line with its constitutional duty.
The Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has approached the Federal High Court in Abuja to file a motion to set aside the contempt proceeding and committal order issued by the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on Tuesday, 29 November 2022. In the motion, the IGP extensively highlighted grounds why the others should be set aside. The IGP explained that he had not been appointed into office as Inspector General of Police when the case was instituted, and the reinstatement order in question granted. The IGP further reassured Nigerians of his commitment and steadfastness in defending the rule of law and respecting judicial authorities. Well, we'll take a break here, but still to come, non-oil sector contributing 73% to budget financing. Finance Minister reveals details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. The presidency says 9 oil-producing states received a total of 625.43 billion naira as 13% oil derivation, subsidy and Sure P refunds from the Federation account between 2021 and 2022. Details show that Akwa Ibom and Delta State received the largest refunds from the federal government. We also told you that Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State has challenged President Muhammadu Buhari to name governors responsible for stealing local government funds. President Buhari, in a speech at the presidential parley for members of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies at the State House, had said that state governors steal allocations meant for local governments. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletin, or for more updates, log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. A Hong Kong nurse has been jailed for 6 months for forging COVID-19 vaccination records to help 6 people circumvent government restrictions on entering certain premises early this year. The court on Friday sentenced Kamen Ho Kamen and 3 others found to have conspired with her to frustrate the city's efforts to boost inoculation rates amid a surge in 5th wave of infections. According to the court, the offences had undermined the public's confidence in the city's health system and risked ruining the tremendous efforts put into combating the virus. We'll take a breather here and return with more stories, to stay with us. Welcome back. Well, up next is business news and stock market review with Mary Kanu. Over to you, Mary.
Thank you, Felicia. Helen, welcome to Business News. The federal government says the contribution of non-oil revenue to financing the federal budget has risen to 73%. In the light of this, Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed says Nigeria is in good economic standing and not broke. Ahmed, who spoke during the public presentation and breakdown of the highlights of a 2022 appropriation bill, said the figure was 32% higher than the 8.1 trillion naira projected in 2021. The minister explained that the 2022 budget had a deficit of 6.3 trillion naira and would be financed from domestic, foreign, multilateral loans and proceeds from privatization. We'll take a break now and return with stock market review. To stay with us. Trading activities on the floor of the Nigerian exchange closed the day with a gain of 271 billion naira in market capitalization as bulls regained their grip on the local bulls. Now, despite starting the month on a negative trend, the market advanced to 1.04% as the all-share index also climbed to the 48,000 level. Now, thanks to gains from Thomas White and Wema Bank, investors had a reason to smile again as both equities topped the gainers chart with over 3 naira gains. Now, market breadth closed positive as 23 equities recorded gains against 14 losers. Now, at the close of today's trade, 159 million volume of shares valued at 5.04 billion naira were traded in 3,080 deals. A look now at how some select global stocks are faring. Now, trading took a different turn in the US, UK and Asia as the bear is on a spree. Now, globally, stocks are trading down as investors look for clarity after China signaled slight easing of its stringent COVID-19 restrictions, and that's why we can see that FTSE is currently traded at 0.055%, the Dow Jones is trading at 0.56%, while Asia's Nikkei is currently trading down at 1.59%. Well, that's the stock market report. For Lashade, back to you.
Well, many thanks, Mary, for that update. And on the foreign scene, Russia says the West's refusal to recognize new territories it seized from Ukraine makes peace talks harder. This comes as U.S. President Joe Biden disclosed to newsmen on Thursday that he would be ready to meet the Russian leader Vladimir Putin if there's an interest in him to end the war. However, the Kremlin said it was open to negotiations, but not on the West's demand to pull out of Ukraine. Russia had illegally annexed 4 Ukrainian regions at the end of September without controlling any of them. And now in sports, state governors present at the ongoing National Sport Festival in Asaba, the Delta State capital, have urged their various states to put out excellent performance. This comes as Team Delta won a gold medal for the table tennis event in the females team event. In the men's team event, Team Lagos will face Team Delta for a place in the final that will be decided later on Friday.
Yes, I'm from Edo, and that's my team. It's Team Edo. And I'm supposed to be the leader of Team Edo to swap our positions. So this year Edo will come first and Delta second. For Bayelsa, well, the last festival, they were at 3rd position. And so they should be competing for the 1st position now. For any one state, although we were 3rd, it doesn't mean we should remain there. So I've charged my team to come first this time around.
Somehow know the best players in the country, but that does not say we don't get surprises. Now we get surprises and we tutor them along to become good players. Having said that, the powerhouse of Scrabble in Nigeria is Delta, Bayelsa, FCT, Rivers and Lagos. So when anybody breaks any of those 5 states, we know that we should be looking out for you in the future. Recognize talent when we see them. And once we see the talent, we start to nurture them.
And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Fola Shadi. Ogurinde. Bye for now.